we're watching the Graham Hancock thing, and I'm like, oh, dude, see, the archaeologists are wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then Tara's like, well, what if Graham's wrong? And I was like, no, but there's so much evidence. Like, science is telling you, right? But she's like, you're only piecing that one side. I'm like, yeah, you're right. She's like, what about the counter arguments? So the genius part is Graham actually plays counter arguments during his show. So one thing that this one guy said was, if Graham was right, where is the trash? Where's the example of tools? So here's let me set the stage. So they say that we were using stone tools up to 6,000 years ago. And that's when we started to like really evolve ourselves. But a lot of these megalithic structures that were definitely not made by stone tools were made like 10,000 years ago, right? That's according to non-official claims. Right, like you're using like outside scientists doing their own like work, and then they're like, actually, it dates back further. And then regular scientists, regular archaeologists don't want to agree with it. They don't want to go back and double check. So that's why they're having the contention. So the only one they agree on, and that's why Graham keeps bringing it up, is Göbekli Tepe. So this one in Turkey, even the archaeologists agree that it's 11,000 years old. Okay. Which predates by 5,000 years, like the stone tool development. So like at 6,000 years BC, we started using stone tools and developing, but this was made in 11,000 years. So, and not only that, what Graham said was, if it's 11,000 years, you need thousands of years to actually learn how to do that. So this 11,000 years is like the pinnacle we saw, but you had to see, if he's like, if you look at any technological development, you see the curve upwards. Like, oh, we're learning how to do this. Like Apple, we can trace the history. Like, this is how we did it, right? But we don't see any evidence of the development of those technologies. So that's one point. Okay? And that's the point they're saying to Graham. That's why they're like, oh, Graham, you're wrong. Like, you don't see any development. You see the development of stone tools, so that's what we're going with, right? There's no advanced things. And Graham's like, okay, maybe it was washed in the water, maybe, you know, like it sunk, blah, 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 right? So in the second point, this is not what, well, this kind of brought on by what the guy said. He's like, where's their trash? So for us, we would see like plastic that will not break down over thousands of years. Like, it has a long lifespan to actually destroy itself, plastic. So if like, you know, 20,000 years from now, they'll be able to dig up our trash.
Right.
Okay. So then this is what Tara clicked in, and I'm like, I'm giving full credit to her, because I'm like, it actually makes sense now. She said, where's the housing?
The foundation.
So right. So you have these megalithic temples. Where do these people live? Did these people live in huts? That's impossible. So are they, like, where is their 11,000-year-old settlements? You'd see the foundation for living quarters, right? If they were made by us.
Sure.
So what she said was, it's obviously aliens. And hold on. So I'm like, that's BS. I'm like, that's BS, bro. It's not aliens. Come on. What are you talking about? She's like, no, there's no other explanation. Both sides are wrong, right? Graham's saying the archaeologists are wrong.
Right.
The archaeologists saying Graham's wrong. There's like Occam's razor. What's the most likely answer? The most likely answer is always the truest answer. It's aliens.
Well, that's what we have.
And I'm
aliens,
like,
right? Don't we have the show Ancient Aliens?
Now, this is the part that's messing with my head. Because now I'm like, now do I got to go back and rewatch it? So when she said that, I was like, this actually makes, because she's like, there's no evidence of them living. So obviously something came down, built it, and just left it. Or else you'd find like living quarters.
Yeah.
If they did build it, you'd find where they live too. So then and then everything started to click as soon as she said it was aliens. So Graham Hancock doesn't believe in aliens. So that's probably why he's not saying it. So what they notice is all of the structures are orienting themselves to a specific star, right? So what they notice, all of these megalithic structures are pointing to a specific star, right? And she's like, well, that's where the aliens live, duh. And I'm like, maybe, because here's the wild part. as time goes on, in our night sky, they said like every 70 years, the
Shifts, right?
stars shifts by a quarter of a centimeter, something like that. And in the night sky, like you can map it out.
Yeah.
So what they noticed was all of these structures started to being redeveloped into a specific orientation, the same orientation. So they kept trying to track the specific star cluster. So what they noticed, like, so it looks like a megalith, but they realized that because of the age differences, that they were built later. So it's like they built one, it's pointing at a specific star, and they're like, oh, it's not working anymore. So they built another one, and they built another one, then they built another one. So now you have 4 with different age ranges because they kept trying to track a specific star cluster, right? And to us, it looks like it's like, oh wow, they built these like rolling megaliths, right? But it's like, no, it's one that they kept trying to shift.
Right.
He shows that in the doc. So my thought now is Earth just a way station?
Yeah,
Is it like
maybe we're like Stargate? It's Stargate.
That's what I'm saying, bro. No, but actually think about that. It's like maybe there's all right. This is so out there. Okay, but it's actually makes total sense. What if they all come from this one cluster, but they need a way back? It's sort of like when you're going through the forest and you put like marks on the trees.
Like a compass, yeah.
Right? And they're using all of these planets to jump back to where they need to go. And that's what these megaliths are. That's why you don't see any people structure, because people didn't make them. Literally, the aliens made them for themselves in order to like jump back to where they need to go.
Right.
And that also explains why they say there are, this is not proven, but there's theories that there are pyramids on Mars. Right? You've heard that before, right?
Yeah.
Right? Sounds so ridiculous. Like, why would there be pyramids on Mars? Makes no sense. But it's like, actually, it does make sense if they're way stations, if we are just one of the way stations. Okay, disprove it. I don't know. What do you think? Like, I was like, it actually kind of makes sense.
I wonder, like, what are they saying in Ancient Aliens? Like, is that what they're saying?
Okay. So the only theory that I know of that is close to this one, and that's why I was tripping out. I don't know the Ancient Aliens ones, but the most prominent one is Zachariah Sitchin, who basically he decoded the Sumerian text, and he said that it's basically about aliens. And I was like, there's no way, it's not real. Joe Rogan was super deep into it, and then he did the show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and he met people who believe in aliens. He's like, oh, these are people with just mental health issues. So he stopped believing in aliens. Okay? Joe Rogan went from a huge believer, because he read all this stuff, into a non-believer. Okay? And then now, with the government releasing all of this alien footage, he went back to like, okay, there's aliens again. Like, there must be aliens. So, like, I was showing Tara like so many alien documentaries about like government capturing. So it's like, okay, you can't deny that there are aliens. That there are no aliens. Like, we are the craziest one that we're watching right now is in 1996. 1996, in Virginia, Brazil, a plane crashed, and an alien popped out, and then this police, like all these people saw it, right? And this police officer came out, grabbed the alien, put it in the car, and then they took the alien to like a military base. Right. And the person that grabbed the alien died of an unknown bacterial infection.
I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the most famous story because like there's so many witnesses and like people physically touched this thing. They saw it, right? They had like artist renditions. So it's hard to deny that there are aliens, right? So now how does it all fit into the puzzle? And I think what Tara said actually makes sense of it all fitting in the puzzle. It's like, yeah, we didn't build those things because how could we?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know? And even if there was, because Graham Hancock believes that there's an advanced civilization on Earth, right? That was here, like the Atlanteans. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I totally believe in it too. Like I sent you that video of it's in the Sahara Desert. They found, right? So there was an advanced civilization for sure. But the question is, like that one guy said, where's their trash? Where is like regular stuff that humans would naturally build? Mm-hmm. Right? But we don't see that. So what if those Atlanteans are actually aliens? What if that was like their main port? Like like you have like when you have a space station, you have eating quarters. You don't just have space station. Like there's places for them to sleep, work out,
Right.
socialize, stores. So what if that's what Atlantis was? What if Atlantis was like their mall? On their way home, you could stop,
Right.
get a bite to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
maybe it wasn't an advanced civilization of humans. Maybe it was aliens. Okay, wait. Go back to the 10th planet theory. Let me fill this in and then I'll get your perspective because you need to like hear the whole lay of the land. So what the 10th planet theory is this. You hear the Anunnaki?
Yeah, you talk about that.
Okay, well, it's like very famous in this is so wild. I can't believe I'm actually talking about this because I thought it was all BS, but now I'm kind of like, wait a minute, this is all making sense. So the Anunnaki is they believe that they are the alien gods who ruled over Egypt. And a lot of, like proponent African Americans who wear like the Egyptian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we were kings back in the day, like African kings. They believe in the Anunnaki. Like a lot of rappers will believe in the Anunnaki.
Right, okay.
But I was like, I don't like, right. It's just like historical within Egypt, So basically, this every 4,000 years, their planet comes close enough to our solar system that they can jump to our Earth. This is the 10th planet theory.
Yep.
But they need resources from Earth
Mm-hmm.
to help protect their planet. And the main resource is gold. Because gold, I think I've talked about this before, gold is what helps protect their atmosphere from like too much radiation from the sun.
Okay.
So when they came down to Earth, they're like, how are we going to mine for this gold? So they saw ape-like creatures and they used experimentation and turned them into, like they spliced us a bit and they made humans. Which also explains why we have a missing link for apes. Right? So like, you heard of the missing link? Like us and apes, we're very close genetically, but there's one missing link that they can't tie together, and that's why they can't say that we're like definitively evolved from apes. Theoretically, we're evolved from apes, but they don't know it scientifically. There's like a missing link. Have you heard of that before?
I don't think that. Well, I don't know. It depends on what you mean by missing link. I thought they found like all these different variations of bones or evolution of bones.
No. Right. No, but genetically, no. Yeah, the bones. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, this makes sense. But they're genetically, they can't tie us together. That's why they can't definitively say we came from apes. Because there's something there. Like they can see the progression, but they can't be like 100% we were apes once. That's just the prevailing wisdom. Like everyone just says we are descended from apes. Right.
Yeah, but I don't know what they mean by I don't know what they're looking for. What would be considered as a missing link, right?
A genetic code. Like because they can genetically see us, they can genetically see apes. And then there's like a point where it's like, it doesn't fit and we can't technically say that we are apes. And that's why like Jesus believers are like, we're not apes.
But I don't know. I don't know. It depends on. I don't know what
okay.
definition means, right? We're technically
all right. So yeah, we are. No, right. But there's like a missing link there. We'll Google it after the podcast. So to like,
I don't know what
to
that
give
means
you the full context. Right. Google it after the podcast because we can't Google it now. So basically, there's a missing link, genetic code, where it's like it doesn't match up, right? So what they're saying is that the aliens came down and spliced us, and the missing link was the alien intervention.
So that's the catalyst.
What
the
do you
aliens
mean?
did was the catalyst for us.
To make us human. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the alien theory. We know that scientifically there's a missing link, but alien people are trying to use that as a rationale for why there's a missing link. Sure. Right. Mm-hmm. Like right. Okay, so all that in mind, so then they created us, and then we're the ones who harvest the materials for them. And every 4,000 years, we realign. We can move back and forth. Like they're close enough to like teleport back and forth.
Okay.
Between us and their planet. Again, I'm not saying I believe in this. I'm just saying that this is what they believe. And now I'm going to go a whole deep dive because I'm like, okay, maybe things are actually kind of true. So, what, like with all that in mind, do you think there's some validity to this?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of questions. So, like, Why?
Like that's a good question about.
So no, let me just asking. Like, so they need the gold to protect themselves from their sun's radiation.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
There's something with their
If
atmosphere.
that's
I don't know. I don't.
okay,
I
yeah.
don't know. Like
So
we won't.
what I'm saying
Okay.
is there an issue with, well, like moving to this planet and staying in this planet?
I don't know. We won't get into their
Yeah.
specifics because I don't know enough about it. I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
talking about the megaliths.
Oh,
This is the
to
main point
being
of
an
this.
alien.
Like,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. That, like, I don't know enough about the 10th planet stuff to actually know what's going on there. I'm just saying, like, that actually explains the megaliths now. Because where is the living quarters of the people that made that? You would find living quarters, like you'd find like structures, like what do you call that? Foundations
Mm-hmm.
of buildings that are equal to the same age as the megalith. Would you not? But we don't find those.
Mm-hmm.
You only find that the megaliths are that old.
I wonder it. So it depends on what the megaliths are used for. So a lot of times, also what people do is they make religious structures much more like grand,
It's not religious. It's they thought it was religious.
or whatever
It
they were
has to do
using it
with
for, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
for they're using it for star watching and
so
season
right. So how much?
planting. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how much are these buildings as revered, right? Something.
okay,
What I mean by like religious structures, like you want to make grand things for your whatever's helping your thing,
yep,
right? And then living
for sure.
structures are like really.
Sure. All right, let's say they lived in
Yeah.
huts. All right, fine. We'll delete that. We'll delete that.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's say they lived in huts, which makes no sense because like you have this giant structure, you don't want to live a comfortabler life. You're going to live in a hut. All right, cool. You live in a hut. Where's the technology? Where's the remnants of that technology?
Right.
That's another question.
Mm-hmm.
And then, other than the remnants of the technology, where's the trash? Where's the waste? We would
Right.
find where. No. One thing Tara said actually, she's like, "Where are the bones?" And I was like, that's true. Where are the dead bones that date back that far?
Right.
Like you would, even if, because I was like, no, they would just commute to that location. They obviously don't live there. They probably built it. Like, it's like, I don't live in downtown Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just look far enough, you'll find something like that. How come nobody's found, not only just, because you'd have burial sites. We bury the dead all the time. We still do that. So where are the dead bones? Where are the dead people?
Mm-hmm.
So you have no dead people around the megaliths. You have no living quarters around the megaliths. You have no trash around the megaliths. You have no tools around the megaliths. But you have a megalith.
Yeah.
Aliens. The only explanation would be aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's hard to refute that. No, but really though, right? Like, but because those arguments, like, where are the bones? Where are the living quarters? Where are the tools? You know, all that's, where's the trash? Those are all theories against Graham Hancock. That's why they're saying he's not correct.
Yeah.
And then Graham Hancock saying, but science is showing us that the carbon dating is correct. We just agreed upon Göbekli Tepe. That's like the most agreed upon megalith. Like archaeologists and Graham Hancock both said it's 11,000 years old, predating by 5,000 years when we started using stone tools.
Yeah.
So where's the lead up into that development of the megalith?
Right.
So what do you think?
But also, like, I was just thinking, we don't put, well, where we bury the bodies is like kind of far away from the town, right?
But wouldn't somebody find something somewhere? You don't think archaeologists have been digging like all over?
I don't think
in that area.
No, a lot of times what happens is you're.
But how far are you commuting?
No.
There's so many questions to that.
Sure. But like, even like a lot of the times that we find things like archaeology stuff, it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna build something here, and then.
Yeah, totally, for sure. But for sure. But the megaliths aren't just one. It's like they're all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So in all megaliths, you didn't find any of this stuff. You didn't find human remains, trash, tools, living foundations. None of that. In all of them,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Right? So what is the S? I don't know. Like what else could it be?
I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know.
Right. No, for sure. We don't know. But if you're like, if it's like Occam's razor, it's like you keep taking away all the possibilities until you're left with the most reasonable theory. And the most, isn't it weird? The most reasonable theory right now is aliens
Mhm.
or gods. Maybe God does exist. But like the way that the megaliths keep chasing the star cluster,
Right.
that's also weird.
Hmm.
Like, what is it with this star cluster?
Right.
Right. What he says at the end, we haven't hit that part. Tara and I just want to.
I wonder. Yeah, maybe we've,
I want.
you know, how many billions of years old is this planet? Right. So
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
can we have done
So wait.
space travel? Like some creature?
Mm. Oh, interesting. Wait, hold on. All right, we'll get back into that. I just want to say one thing. At the end of the documentary, he basically shows that the star cluster that they keep chasing is the one that hit Earth. So they're trying to warn us that another asteroid's going to come.
Oh, from
so
asteroid in that direction. Okay.
yeah, and that's why they keep chasing it, because an asteroid came from that direction and hit Earth. But I'm like, I don't know anymore. I don't know. Like, kind of a weird guess.
But like,
You're like fitting that theory too nicely.
I don't know if
actually.
But like from everywhere, like did they know? Like, who knows where the asteroid came from? Like,
Exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't know, Graham. I don't know if that's real. Like, that's what he says at the end of his documentary.
right.
Like that it's a warning that an asteroid's going to come hit us.
But that doesn't make sense though. A lot of times, you wouldn't.
It'll come
know
from
where it's
anywhere, bro.
coming From. Yeah.
Totally,
Like
totally,
anything
totally.
that did
So
come by us, like there's been like whatever's been seen or some.
it was already passing by.
Yeah, and they are like already calculating if the trajectory that it was going, well, it's going to come back around after like so many years, but like it's going to be in this position or that. I don't think if you got hit, how would you know where it came from?
Totally. So these are great questions as to why Graham's thing is like wrong. So now again, Occam's razor. If Graham's wrong, archaeologists wrong, aliens. Like there's no other.
Yeah.
There's actually no other explanation. I can't think of one.
Well, yeah,
because those
that's
are
why the
like
ancient
logical
theories out there too, right?
Yeah, but you think it's garbage? Like no, there's no way that's real.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
our view
we
of
watch it, we're
right
like,
now is yeah.
But the part that's crazy is like there's so much evidence for aliens coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that they're aliens, and we know there are a lot of questions about these megaliths. Why don't you put the two together?
Right.
And then assume that we're just a way station for aliens to like get home. That actually makes total sense because we would do the exact same thing. All right, let's go back to your point. Like, how do we know that a civilization wasn't intergalactically traveling? Because you said like billions of years. How do we know some sort of like iteration of us didn't create space travel like Elon Musk?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And maybe those are their way stations that they created,
Yeah.
Maybe it was us, who created these way stations. But then if that's true, then you'd still find living quarters, dead bodies. Because what would they do with all this stuff? They don't live on this planet?
Yeah,
like if it was us.
Yeah. Well, like how old are
you know what I'm saying?
How old actually are these structures? Maybe it depends on that.
11. Well, they know it's 11,000 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's based on organic material around the thing, right?
Oh yeah, and you can only carbon date organic material. Yeah.
If it's much older than that, you wouldn't know.
Oh damn.
Right.
Okay, but then how come the megaliths survived and nothing else?
Well, because of how big they are, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have built anything bigger than this. Like we built cities, bro.
Yeah, they can collapse. Like what happened to? I just was watching like 9/11 thing. So it's like.
But even if they do collapse, you would still see, like, because we saw Pompeii, right? Was it Pompeii? No, we were in Greece. Well, basically, we saw like in Greece there was like a volcano hit, destroyed an entire city, and then you can go through the archaeological site. I forgot which one it was. But you can go through it and you see like definite rooms in houses. You see definite,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So you're like, okay, this is humans.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like it depends on how old they are.
Oh, so you think they got destroyed?
It could be. We don't like if also
But like they
like
all
also
got destroyed except for the megaliths.
like I'm saying is like it depends on how big these structures are, right?
The megaliths?
Yeah.
Or the homes?
Well, the megaliths are that big that if an asteroid, if maybe parts of these theories are correct.
Okay.
Even asteroid impacts are correct.
Wait a minute. Wait, I just realized something. Okay, wait, hold on, wait. Actually, this makes way more sense. Okay, so what if the Atlantis was an alien mall? Let's say it's an alien mall, okay? Where people like on your way home, you would visit this spot, get a bite to eat. But then an asteroid came, destroyed everything, right? But I forgot to mention the 7 sages. Because the reason why all these megaliths on the earth are around is because this is literally why they're around. So they found that there are these 7 individuals carved into all of these statues that are very similar in design at each location. And they took their technology and they shared that with different places in the world. That's why Chichen Itza in Mexico, Bali was one, Indonesia was another one, America was another one. There's so many. Egypt, Turkey, Peru, all these places, right? These 7 sages are the ones that taught the locals how to build these things. So what if the asteroid hit, destroyed all the way stations, and they're like, oh dude, we need to get back home. So these 7 sages went out, built these stations, and then they created like their own makeshift ports.
Right.
That actually kind of makes sense too. Because how would they know? Because they're like, oh, the 7 sages brought their technology and brought civilization to the hunter-gatherers. So what if the aliens came, they saw these hunter-gatherers, and then they're like, well, we need this land as a way station. We'll keep our island away from all of them. That's why it's in the Sahara Desert.
Right.
They found like the Atlantis. And then they were trying not to interfere with the indigenous.
Yeah. Right. To not affect with the indigenous, you'd make.
We'll just keep it in a central location,
far away from where they're at. Yeah.
And they had their way stations already. Like maybe they were floating. Maybe the way stations were floating. That's why you couldn't find them before.
Right.
And then the asteroid hit. Most people died, and it destroyed their city, their Atlantis. And then they're like, okay, well, there's some of us who remember. They're scientists how to make these way stations. Go out into the world and make these way stations. But they went out in the world. They needed help.
Right.
So they used us to rebuild the way stations. Maybe it's not even the 10th planet thing. They need resources. Maybe that's literally what happened.
Right. Yeah.
That actually makes sense. Right?
Sure.
It doesn't sound ridiculous. It's like we would do the exact same thing. We're like, crap, we need to get home. We need help. We'll teach you guys how to build this with us.
Right.
And we'll use the technology we have.
Right.
And then we're going to leave you. Because that's the story of Quetzalcoatl in Mexico. Quetzalcoatl came. He was one of the 7 sages. He taught them how to build pyramids. Then he left.
Right.
So it's like maybe he's like, I just need this way station. Quid pro quo. I'm going to show you guys how to make civilization. You're going to make me make this pyramid. I'm going to get home.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
We would do the exact same thing.
Okay.
I will give you this. You will give me this. Right. And another crazy part is they always talked about
need these way stations.
Maybe not, or maybe they do. Maybe Earth is just it's just like Men in Black. It's like Earth is like a tourist area. Like we just come, like aliens visit us all the time. They just take on like suits that look human.
Yeah.
And then they go back to their home. Maybe because we have tourism too. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah, why not go to another planet?
It actually makes sense. It's not like, right? It doesn't sound far fetched. It's like we would do the exact same thing.
Right.
And then one other crazy thing is all of these. Here's another crazy thing. This is wild. So in the Egyptian pyramids, you'll see these hieroglyphs of these leaders who are giants compared to the workers, right? They have like these giant pharaohs, right?
Yep.
And they said that Quetzalcoatl and all these other sages were giants. But what's his name? Graham Hancock said, I don't believe in literal giants. Maybe they meant giants in terms of their intellect. But now I'm thinking maybe they really were giants.
Right.
Because that's why would every place depict them as giants?
Yeah.
So maybe right? So maybe they were giants in Atlantis. Why do you see no dead bodies? Because nobody, if I died in the Philippines, they're bringing my body back home. They're not going to bury me in the Philippines.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the Filipino people will bury themselves there. So like you see hunter-gatherers burial sites.
Mm-hmm.
But why don't you see alien burial sites? Because why would I leave the body behind?
Right.
It will send it back to its original planet. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Doesn't this all make sense now, though?
Yeah. It's a mixture of all of them. Yeah. Story.
Yeah. Like it puts into account like Men in Black. It puts into account like why we're seeing aliens now. Maybe these aliens that we're seeing are just like literally tourists. They're not trying to harm us. They're just like, what's going on down here?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
Because one thing they see too is like different types of vehicles. So like this is actually true within the military. They've captured multiple versions of vehicles that are flying. But they're like, we don't know what each one does.
Right.
So what if we're all getting hung up on like, oh my God, they're attacking us. It's like, no, that's actually a tourist bus. That's actually a transit bus. You know, like how we like, okay, we're going to bring you to your hotel now. And they like put us all on a bus together.
Yeah.
And that's all we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And like our technology is finally quick enough to catch these things that have always been around.
Right.
Well, all right, what time are we at? One last thing.
1 hour 36. Kind of.
Oh my God, I knew this was gonna be long.
That.
Yeah, the alien one is because it made sense. Anyways, all right, two last things. One thing is Brazil has seen so many aliens visiting. There's so many like alien sightings in Brazil. Like even some crazy ones where an alien ship was over a baseball stadium for like 20 minutes and they all captured it. But like this is being suppressed. So why would the aliens go to Brazil? I don't actually know that answer. It's just kind of weird. Like why are they all going to Brazil? Because we all like Brazil. They're like, oh, the culture is cool. The food's nice. You know? If we look at it like tourism.
Yeah. Maybe it's true. Maybe.
Right? Like maybe they're just like, I like it here.
Right.
Okay, there's that. And then the other thing is, if aliens really did exist and they were around us, and there were these 7 sages, what if Elon Musk is an alien? Tara firmly believes Elon Musk is an alien. Because how does he know so much? Why is he trying to get us off world? Why is he saying he's never seen an alien, but he works in space?
Right.
He just doesn't want to freak us all out. Why is he so brilliant?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she's like half joking when she says he's an alien, but like, what if there are these individuals that come down and they're just taking the form of humans and they're actually aliens trying to push society along?
Mm-hmm.
Like Elon's like, hey, I know that you're going to freak out if I tell you that I see aliens on the regular and I am an alien. So I'm just going to tell you that I've never caught an alien on camera.
Right.
He said that. Like he's a firm non-believer in aliens. Mm-hmm. I've seen his podcast episodes with Joe Rogan and stuff. And Joe Rogan's trying to like, hey man, you must see aliens. He's like, never seen one. Right? Of course you would say you haven't seen one. That's what. But like, why are you trying to get off world so hard?
Yeah, those types of geniuses or world-changing people are very far. Between. Yeah.
Right? Steve Jobs. I don't think Steve Jobs was an alien because he died of pancreatic cancer. Maybe he's working with aliens. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe he was just a genius. Who knows? But like Elon Musk, like why'd you give us Starlink? Mm-hmm. Like Elon Musk knows about this global catastrophe. Actually, I was listening to a podcast about this. You know the whole thing about asteroids hitting Earth?
Yep.
That's the whole reason. Yep. Let me say this right now. Listen to so many podcasts, and he keeps saying it.
Yep.
He's seen all the evidence on asteroids hitting Earth. and he's like, we need to get off Earth.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen all the evidence about polar shifts too, like a lot of global cataclysms. And he's like, we need to get off Earth.
Right.
That's why he's obsessed with SpaceX
Mhm.
and colonizing the planet. Like, when people are like, what is he doing with SpaceX and like whatever, I'm like, no, literally the impetus for this was he read all of the research on global cataclysms and asteroids hitting us, and he freaked out and he's like, we need to get off Earth.
Right.
Right. So, that all being said, it's like, what if he's a goddamn alien, bro?
It's true. Yeah, we don't know.
Like, why do you know everything?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird. Just some thoughts. Anyways, okay. That was a long one. Any final thoughts about that? Do you agree, disagree, think it's plausible, don't think it's plausible?
No, I think it's. I've been very much interested in aliens since we were kids, right? We've always.
I know, Starseed, bro. You were number one. You love Superman because aliens, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's for real. Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they might be among us. Yeah. I think.
If you don't know what Starseed is, that you were the one who first told me about this. You listened to it on what was that radio hour you always used to listen to?
It's
Talk show.
Is it Coast to Coast?
Coast to Coast. Yeah, Coast to Coast. Yeah. Coast to Coast. And in that you heard about Starseed. So basically a Starseed is the soul of an alien that came, not an alien, soul from a different civilization came to Earth, and you were born with that soul because we are interconnected as a universe, and like souls don't die. Anyways, so yeah, continue. You were super an alien. So this is making sense to you? Like this is like firing you up, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved.
Does it make sense? Right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I mean, like, because we have all these ancient apocalypse, or now you have also ancient aliens. Like where,
Yeah.
maybe there's a combination of them both, right? Which
Yeah.
is probably makes more sense if they were all combined together versus being separate. Why do they have to be separated?
Yeah, exactly. And again, I just want to give credit to Tara for this because she was like, make sure you credit me on this one. Because it's true. It's like, because I was like, no, Graham's right. And she's like, no, Graham's kind of wrong. She's like pointing out all the flaws in his show. And then like, well, I was like, but they're pointing out flaws. Like he's pointing out flaws for them. And that's when it clicked. Like, Occam's razor, like literally you just keep going back until you find the most logical conclusion, and it's aliens. Like it's also weird that the logical conclusion's aliens, and for how long have we thought people who believe in aliens are crazy?
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, this is actually making sense, because like if you find an 11,000-year-old megalith, you're going to find evidence of 11,000-year-old civilizations, because they don't just build technology overnight. That's Graham Hancock's theory. Or his like rebuttal. You can't just wake up the next day and you're like, technology, right?
Where's he always says the lead up.
There has to be a lead up.
Yeah. So where's that?
There's always a lead up.
Right.
But there's no lead up. But then now with this new theory about the seven sages, so like what if Atlantis was just like a mall or like a meeting point before you go back home, and that got destroyed? That actually makes sense that you would leave and you're like, we need to rebuild these PlayStations so we can go back home. You go to the hunter-gatherers, ask for help. You give them civilization. Because in every story about civilization, it's about some deity comes down and teaches you civilization.
Right.
That's also in the Sumerian text. There's like it's in the Egyptian text as well. Horus came down and like, he actually brings it up in the show. It's like Horus and Isis or something. He's like, husband and wife, they went down to Egypt. They taught them how to build stuff. They taught them how to formalize. Horus went back to like, wherever he was from, and he left Isis there.
Gods are the aliens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, literally. But it's like, they're not really like gods. It's just like...
No.
They are aliens.
Yeah. We were depicting them as gods.
Yeah, but they're just aliens that were just like, hey man, I just want to go back home.
Right.
Like, I didn't expect this earth to blow up. And it did, so I need your help. Right? And that's why like every culture around the world has a story, because he proved it. Like there was a global cataclysm back 11,000 years ago, or 12,000 years ago. And what he said was every religion has a flood story. But it makes sense because an asteroid hit and flooded the most of the earth.
Right.
They found that scientifically, right? So if every religion has a story about a god figure coming down teaching everyone about civilization, well, we know there's some truth to that. So what is the god figure if not an alien?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It logically makes sense.
Mm.
Okay, anyways. All right, that is all stuff to ponder. Hopefully we get into more realistic things next week, because I feel like that was like, it sounds so dumb.
But I wonder
Like, I'm in full knowledge of how ridiculous it sounds.
Yeah. We should watch the Ancient Aliens things because they have like so many seasons of that show.
Bro, I'm right after this, I'm going to watch it, because like now you want to see what fits into this theory.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's like they're like, oh yeah, you're cherry picking, but it's like not really. Like, you're onto something now. Now it's like, let's see which makes sense in this theory.
Because you got to get a perspective on all of them now, right? Since they're all
Yeah.
separated in their thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe this story fits with another story, right? We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, that's funny that you say that, actually, because if you look at spirituality, it's like, if you look at all forms of spirituality, like Hinduism, Buddhism, Zen, Christianity, all this stuff, they're all talking about that flow state, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we already figured that part out. Okay, you have a mind, you have consciousness separated from your mind. So how did you figure that out? You just looked at all the theories and you saw the underlying narrative between all of them.
Right.
So now we're just going to do the exact same thing, but with aliens in history. Look at all of them, see what the underlying narrative is between all of them, and that must be the answer.
Right.
But okay, wait, sorry, one last thing. So because in the documentary, he was saying how the first mention of Atlantis was in Plato's accounts, and I'm like, that's actually not true.
Was it Plato?
Right? He said
Plato or Aristotle.
No, it's Plato. Plato. It's Plato. Solon is a family member of Plato or something, or a teacher of Plato, and then Solon Solon went to Egypt, learned about Atlantis, came back, told Plato. That's what Graham believes, or that's what Graham found out. But obviously, Graham didn't read the Emerald Tablets, which I did. Comes from Egypt. But if you read the Emerald Tablets, it's about a person talking about Atlantis. He's like literally go read it. He is a citizen of Atlantis, and he's just talking about how he lived in Atlantis. And I was like, reading, I'm like, did nobody read this? Like, what? Like, he's giving straight evidence for Atlantis. He's calling Atlantis. He's saying what they did. He said that there is which now I'm thinking there are portals into different dimensions or different planets. Like so what he's saying is like literally Stargate. So he says in that book, Emerald Tablets, that there are these two pillars and you walk through them and enter into the world of the dead. So I'm like, that sounds like a portal, bro.
Yeah.
So what if it's not actually the world of the dead? Maybe he meant like the old world. Maybe the translation's off.
Right.
Or just not like, the world of the dead.
Or just like maybe like a different kind of planet that's like dead. A dead planet, right?
Oh, true. And that's why they came to Earth. Dude, okay. Oh my god. So many theories. There's another theory I saw before that Mars, because Mars used to look like Earth, right?
Potentially, yeah. That's what they say.
Theoretically. No, they found water on Mars recently.
But, sure, but not recently, but like the ice caps like are water, right? But yeah.
So, if there were water, then there must have been a time when. No, actually, no. This was a scientific thing I saw with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He showed that Mars used to look like Earth, but then it just dried up over time. They don't know why it dried up. Maybe it's just too far from the sun, something like that. Their atmosphere got too thin. So we know that's true, that Mars used to look like Earth because it's pretty close in terms of distance. It's in the Goldilocks zone. We're more so. That's why we haven't died yet. But like Mars, we might be, because Earth also used to look like Mars.
I think they're. I believe the core solidified, so the atmosphere is not able to hold itself anymore.
Okay, cool. So there's the answer. But Earth also used to look like Mars. If you look at the origins of Earth, it was like a fiery fireball.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you look at the way time moves, now all of a sudden we have freaking being told that it's long. There you go. Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, we are going a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I know. All right. It's just so hype, bro. It's so hype. Okay, wait. All right, last thing. Okay, so So we know that Earth used to be a fireball. But if you looked at Earth at that time, you'd be like, oh, it's inhospitable.
Mhm.
But billions of years later, look, we have cities.
Right.
So we knew that Mars used to look like Earth at one point in time. So what they think, this is an alien theory, is that when Mars was going under, they created a teleportation system that jumped everyone to Earth.
Right.
And those people were the lizard people who are now running our civilization.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just saying like all these theories, now we just have to look at the underlying theory that's like unifying them. Just like spirituality. It's like all spirituality is literally looking for the same answer. Yeah. Just like history. Okay, that's all. Till next week. Take it easy, Bish.
Peace, y'all.
Oh, hey, final thoughts?
Oh, final thoughts.
You have a final thought?
They're
Yeah.
amongst us. They're amongst us.
I think so too. I really think so too. Like, not even a joke. It's like they're here.
Mhm.
Now we're just catching up.